Good evening, everybody. Hope you can see and hear us okay. Please let us know in the comments if you can. We are streaming live via Facebook and YouTube as well. So this evening I am joined by the lovely Luke Dugan. Evening, Luke. How are you?
Good evening, ma'am. I thought I'd just throw in some. I was about to say good evening, sir. And I realised that's not right, Luke. Maybe you need to change that. I'm doing good. You all right?
Yeah, I'm good. That's because I'm like super bossy, so therefore you get the instinct to call me sir. Definitely.
Maybe it's because I was watching. Is it like 100 Ways to Die in the West? Or maybe it's not quite called that. Is it 100?
No.
It's a film anyway. It's like it's based around like the cowboy and Indian style era.
Oh, it's the guy that does like Family Guy.
McFarlane, is it?
McFarlane, yeah. Like yeah, definitely.
Like a fun film, but yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping people can see and hear us okay. Give us a like or a love if you've joined us, and let us know in the comments as well. We seem to be very light on people tonight. I think it's because like clubs have opened or something. I don't know. Hopefully, I've got no comments or yet.
Shall we just go? There says 4 people are watching.
I know. It's going to be a short.
I never normally look, to be honest.
No, literally. Hopefully, there we go. We're jumping up now. It looks like the notifications have gone out, and it's been a bit late. Luke, you've got to turn that down. I can hear myself coming back.
Can you? But
yeah.
Why?
I don't know. Did you have it on your phone?
Oh, yeah, I did for a second.
Oh, okay, that's fine. Right, okay. For the people that are watching, please, if someone could let us know that you can see and hear us okay. Now Luke's disappeared. Chippo, evening. Hello, hooray. Hopefully the notification's gone out all right. Lisbeth, evening. Yeah, give us some likes and loves because then it just pushes out the notification to everyone to let everybody know we're live. Tonight's just generally going to be a bit of a catch up, a bit of what's going on in the Amazon space, because there's been this big glitch last week. Now I'm actually hearing that it's actually been lasting longer than we thought it had. But we'll go into that in a moment, and it's a good chance to catch up with Luke and just see what's going on. But I don't know what's going on with Luke. Is Luke frozen for everyone? He's frozen for me. Have to wait and see. Yeah, fingers crossed. Hi, Cara. Hi, Fiona. Let's see. It's really, Jackie says, no, it's just arrived on Facebook. Cool. Hi, Jackie. Hope you are well. Seem to have lost Luke, so I'll just carry on for the moment. I think everything's a little bit glitchy tonight, by the looks of it. Hopefully he'll go away and come back. Fingers crossed he will, or I'll get a message. Ahmed's joined us. Evening. There we go. I've arrived on there, so hopefully he'll come back in for sure. But let me know in the comments what's going on. Looks like he's back. Don't know what happened there.
I plugged everything in perfectly, and I realised that I did not turn something on for the power to work, and it never gave me a notification to say my laptop was dying.
Okay, never mind. Here you are. Harminder's joined us. Good evening. Right, let me know in the comments, guys, actually, because it's been a bit of a testing week for a lot of you on Amazon for lots of different reasons. Namely to do with this glitch. Hi, Carolyn. So I want to know what your experience is like, and it's been a real mixed bag of emotions for people this week. It's been the full spectrum of the Amazon emotional roller coaster. Some of you have experienced your best sales since Q4. Some of you experienced your worst sales since Q4. And I think with everything to do with this glitch, let me know in the comments. Jackie says it's been a very odd week for sure. Limits on storage are causing huge issues. We're going to talk about that a little bit tonight as well. Dean's joined us, and yeah, I've been posting quite a bit in the Facebook group this week about this glitch. We first noticed it probably Thursday of last week, I would have thought. That's when we first really noticed it, when we were just experiencing we first noticed it actually in the US account, on the private label account, because it's become very consistent sales over the last few the last few weeks, probably last 3 weeks, something like that. And then out of nowhere, we just had like nothing. And we was a bit like, okay, this is a bit odd. and couldn't account for the reason why we'd had nothing. And then I was doing a little bit of keyword research on some of the competitors. And as I was searching, it just wasn't coming up. Wasn't coming up out of nowhere. And because it's the US platform, I thought, okay, well, let me put my classic Beverly Hills 90210. I haven't got, that zip code in there. So it's giving me like the wrong results. But no, I had Beverly Hills 90210 in the zip code. So it was giving me all the right results and everything like that. And then just went through and then went, had a look in Facebook groups and Facebook forums and everything like that. And then I thought, okay, well, I'll start searching for some other stuff. So then went on UK to search for some of our unique bundles. And again, just nothing coming up and I'm thinking, these things that I'm searching for, the keywords that I'm searching, I know we're like top 5 for in these positions. And I'm going through and I'm getting down to about page 7, just not seeing anything. And the only thing I could see was the sponsored product search. So yeah, been doing lots of research on it over the last week and obviously talking to lots of different sellers and things like that. And it's actually a major glitch, worldwide issue. And some people are saying it's been going on for about 2 weeks now. So I've been asking lots of people. It'll be interesting to hear your thoughts as well, Luke. What people have been experiencing in particular over the last week. And yeah, like I said, real mixed bag. Some people worst days ever, some people's best days ever. It's crazy.
For me, it's been the same. I've still got the issues with some of the minimum order quantity stuff. So as in the potential isn't it was never going to be hit anyway. But I'd say sales. It's not for me. It's not great, but I'm making it's about £2,000 a day, which is not in sales. It's okay. It's. I basically see it as if I'm not doing. In my mind, I want to be doing 5. Yeah. But there's quite a lot of my fast selling lines, or I call them lines, but ASINs that were obviously selling hundreds and hundreds and hundreds a month. But it's probably only 20, but the amount of per day that you could sell obviously would top that up, would do £4,000 a day. But that can be quite definitely with where I've been testing some things as well, which has had costs. Mm-hmm. Unless I'm doing £5,000, I basically just see it as a tick over month. So I don't really pay too much attention, but I'm just roughly monitoring it just to kind of see is there anything is it getting worse or is it getting better? That's all I'm kind of looking at, and it's kind of consistent. But I would say that if it's consistent, then you probably haven't been impacted that much by the glitch, to be perfectly honest. We're seeing for us in particular on our arbitrage unique bundles store today, one of the worst days we've ever had, ridiculous. So it's definitely still. Oh, I can hear myself again. It shouldn't be me. Oh, really? Is it me? Well, I'm logged on to Facebook. Hang on a sec. Let me put it down. Okay, apologise. It was totally me. I can hear myself on Facebook. I'm thinking, what's that? But yeah, one of the worst days ever today. Really low in terms of sales. There's me still hoping, maybe it's a glitch, within Seller Central and the sales are not showing. But I know that they're pretty up to date in the US as well. So it should be everything. That should be fine. But yeah, I think it's just really, we're seeing very inconsistent sales in particular over the last week. And one thing is, and it'd be a bit harder for the guys that just do arbitrage. When you do arbitrage, unless you are very consistent in everything that you're doing and you're sending in the same amount of products and, this all the time, probably a lot of you don't experience massively consistent days like you see in private label and things like that. So we're used to consistency quite a lot. Whereas arbitrage, one day you can have a £4,000 day, next day it can be a £6,000 day, next day it could be a £2,000 day or something like that. Unless you're doing the type of arbitrage that Luke does, where it's more replenishable, more consistency, all that type of thing. But when you're doing traditional types of arbitrage, so for us to see inconsistency in our sales is a little bit of a red flag, and that's what kind of caused the need for us to look into it a little bit more. But
I can see here Carolyn said difficult to say. We don't sell a lot yet. Relatively new sale. However, new bundles are being sent in, and they've started selling. So Caroline's part of ESA, creating bundles and things like that. So congratulations on that. And I think the upside for a lot of people this week as well is the reason why some of you are experiencing really good sales, and this is the only thing that I can put it down to, is the fact that other sellers on products are not showing up, so therefore there's not as much competition. So the people that are showing up are taking the lion's share of the sales. I just can't think there's any other reason. So,
but that's also, I know it's not as easy to say this than it is anything, but that's why I always look at things, as I've said a billion times, yearly. Mm-hmm. So even I could do no sales in a month, and I mean, if I knew the reason behind it, then okay, fine. But because it's not really about, but it's like, it's an accumulative, not only the action accumulatively, like things you're putting in place for later, but if you then max, I always say, for some reason, I always do really well over Q4, and that might change, but I don't know why. I don't know, whatever. But I always find that if you can even do if you can somehow maximize your Q4, then in theory, let's say you can make 40 grand in Q4, but you make nothing throughout the rest of the year. Number one, that's still good. So you could almost do very, very little through the year. So, that could be one angle. So it doesn't matter if things like this did occur, obviously, unless it was Q4. But you're breaking, say 3 months or 2 months is probably less likely to happen over a 2-month period than if you have more months that you can cover. So obviously, do you kind of get what I'm saying? Probably not. But if it means it's less likely to happen over a short amount of time. Yeah. If you have like forever, of course it's going to happen sometime. And also, then if you do maximize a Q4, then if you do have a month, which is something changes. So there's been that minimum order quantity thing that happened a couple of months ago, and it's kind of changed a bit and it's moving, but it's still there. But it's like just because, and so sales might be affected by that, but it's like you've still got that massive buffer that in theory you could just burn through to offset. But of course, that's probably not going to happen over every month. So it's probably not going to be January to September where you make no money because of problems that crop up. So even if you're not doing as well, like, because things happen basically, every year Amazon changes, and last year was just basically ignore. You got to ignore last year. That's all. Like last year is for is just maximizing it as much as you could, and it gives you an insight into the potential of Q4. So Q4 will always be like that, I think, and it might change, but it basically felt like Q4 pretty much all the time. Obviously, the products were slightly different, but the way that it was working was the same. But I think that last year was a bit of an anomaly, and it was like you had to just get what you could from it. And now, because I could break even for a quarter because of things that either I've made mistakes, I'm too slow, whatever the reason is, things outside my control. But and if you see that happening, a lot of people probably get disheartened and be like, and they try to find more. Basically, what they probably do is go, let's find more products, or let's dilute and go even wider. But I kind of sometimes think, well, if it's almost like a slog because there's so many things outside your control. Maybe there's like 3 things instead of just the odd one or whatever. It's like to overcome all of that, it will take a lot more work than putting things in place where you won't see sales necessarily tomorrow or next week, but as things progress and then things change and maybe it gets easier in 3-4 months, it gets these issues that you got that aren't there anymore. Then Q4 comes into it. All the things you're putting in place when it's the hard times, when it's almost not worth trying to, run up Mount Everest when you can just sled. I don't know what I'm trying to get at. I'm just trying. But it's no point. If there's like a million things going wrong, it's best to just spend that time not trying to overcome them, because there's even if you come over 50 of them, it's about 2,000 problems. So you can do enough just to sort of offset the damage, because obviously you might have costs that you need to break even. That's how you want to break even. So, but don't think, I need to do X, Y, Z to get profit, because sometimes it's good just to tick over, because then you could train your, if you've got VAs, or maybe you want to get a VA, or you want to maybe plan for another, or you want to look into maybe selling in the US, and I think that's sometimes where the energy needs to flow when there are things going on, because it doesn't always, there's so many things that change all the time, and they always, some things do stick, but they're never as detrimental as they end up seeming at the beginning. I don't think there's anything massive that's, maybe there is, I kind of forgot, that's come in that a lot of people have been upset about, scared about, but then it's never really had a massive, huge long-term impact. Maybe there is that you could think of, but I can't think of anything. Or people have slowly adjusted and then it's become the norm. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right. And I think you have to have the mentality of pivoting and evolution within this business. There's no doubt about it. And the quicker that you can get your head around that, you know, sometimes it takes a year, sometimes it takes 2 years to really understand the process of Amazon, you know, through talking to people, you know, which I've been doing over the last few weeks with Chat with Nat. You know, these are the sort of type of conversations that I've been having with people. You know, use this time to be able to you know, maximize, like Luke says, the times, the busy times in Q4. This is the time to make your tweaks. If you want to think that you're going to use a prep center for Q4, don't test a prep center in Q4, test them out now, because, you know, if they're rubbish now, it means that they're going to be even worse in Q4. So use this time really sensibly to be able to, you know, prepare for the busy times coming ahead. With regards to this glitch in particular, and this is where the longer it's going on, the more concerned I'm getting about it, but not concerned from like, oh my God, that's it, I'm going to stop selling on Amazon, I'm going to give up, I'm going to do this. It's, you know, life is over as we know it. But as far as I'm concerned, the longer something goes on with Amazon, the less it's a glitch and more it's a change. And that's what I'm starting to suspect. And that was the reason for my post this morning, is I am actually starting to suspect that this might be an algorithmic change. And if it's an algorithmic change to the way that images are coming up, I mean, not with products not showing, but when a product doesn't show for whatever reason, it means that, you know, it's kind of suppressed. Could they have changed something that is, you know, are they testing what's going to come up in certain searches and things like that? Yes, I'm probably thinking into it a little bit too much, but the fact that this has been going on, according to some people, upwards of 2 weeks, we've certainly noticed it for the last 5 to 6 days. Yeah, I sort of like think, well, Amazon's the biggest search engine in the world. They have the best people in the world. It's affecting everybody globally. And if it's not intentional, it's costing them a hell of a lot of money, and it's taking a hell of a lot of time to sort it out. So I've got my conspiracist, you know, tin hat on, and you know that's what I'm kind of thinking. So
that made me think. Actually, I might as well just say it's probably not actually valid. But you just said that it probably cost them a lot of money. Well, I've probably done, like, I tested the warehouse, having my own warehouse staff member and doing all that way. And yeah, I probably burnt through $8,000, and I probably could have spent half of that. Or no, I think I probably spent more, $10,000. I probably basically wasted $5,000, just because of things that I've calculated. But I wouldn't have known that was basically not a terrible idea, but it wasn't, for certain things, it wasn't a good idea at the time. But unless you try it, I always say, I never know the right way to do something. But I just know all the wrong ways to do something. So therefore, I'm only left with like one option or two. You know, I'm not left with many options. And it doesn't sound similar to what you just said.
But isn't that the famous quote with Thomas Edison? He said it took him
ways to change the light bulb.
Yeah, he said he found out
1,000 ways not to do it. Yeah,
yeah, not to invent a light bulb. Exactly. So I think that's the true entrepreneurial spirit. You got to try stuff. If you're someone that goes through life and you're not prepared to test, trial, again, something we talk about a lot in ESA with bundles and things like that, you've got to try. We give as much information as possible to mitigate the risk as much as possible, but there's only one way to find out, and that's to try it, you know, to be perfectly honest. So Luke, you are absolutely king of that. I love what Ahmed said. You are the perfect person to have on tonight when there's a bit of a crisis, Luke. Every time I listen to Luke, I get more relaxed. He makes things look less scary than they are, or at least I think they are. You are totally the right person to have, you know.
And I'm not like throughout my life, yes, I probably have been, but because I probably think, well, if I'm good enough and it's going to happen, it will happen. If not, then
yeah.
Then, as in, I kind of think, well, as long as you're not being, sitting on your ass all day going, why isn't, and you're not done anything. If you've done everything, or you think you've done everything you can, it's like that's it, really. And sometimes it's not even that. It's like the opportunity. Opportunity needs to. I forget the saying now, but basically, the market has to also allow you to do it. You could be as great, like you could have invented Tesla cars 1,000 years ago, but no roads, or there probably was roads, but you know what I mean. No proper roads. You're creating the thing in the wrong time, so it doesn't matter how much you've got to do everything. So these things happen, and it's kind of whatever.
Yeah,
that's how I see it. Eventually, I'll just be dead, and then whatever. Anyways,
you're full of quotes tonight for sure. Karen says, so this is exactly the issue. I have items listed in my inventory, but when I look for them, they don't show. So this is it. So for anyone that's watching that hasn't heard about the glitch, I mean, I don't want to go around fear mongering, but it might answer a few questions for anyone who is experiencing a drop in sales, or who look for their own items on Amazon, especially if you do private label. The issue, the glitch, is with the front end keyword search on Amazon. So when you guys do your reverse sourcing and your reverse searching on Amazon, and you put in the brand name and it brings all of the details up. So the issue is there. The issue is with the keyword search. So what should normally be appearing under those keyword searches is not appearing, and they haven't been pushed down the pecking order. So they haven't lost organic rankings or anything like this, because this is only affecting organic ranked products as well. So if you put advertising on your products, or if you're private label and you use PPC, then your products are probably still showing the same. It's the organic search that is not showing. So Amazon is not showing that product linked to that. Now, normally, when something like that happens outside of glitch time, it's because Amazon do not think you're relevant, or your listing is being suppressed, or something like that. But it's just not appearing absolutely anywhere. And there's too many people that it is happening to for it not to be that type. But there could be a relevancy issue here. Amazon could be updating what they look for in terms of what's in a listing. We know that they're getting stricter and stricter on what goes into a listing, how a listing is optimized, what they want in it, what they don't want, what words, how they want it presented. So could be something to do with that, but we're just going to have to wait and find out. But what I will say, guys, as well, so something to take into account, this will also be linked to your sourcing as well. So if you're VAs or people like that, and you've experienced yourself, if you are coming up with not as many kind of deals as you would do normally, it's because probably the items that you're searching for might not be there, might be disappeared at the moment. So don't get too frustrated on the sourcing side, and especially if you've got sourcing VAs, don't be too harsh on them. Definitely over the last week, there's been this major issue, which means that less products are going to be coming up on brand searches, to be honest.
Yeah, I've not. That's the first time you mentioned it was when I heard about it.
Well, there we go. There we go. I'm the person in the know, for sure. No, I'm really joking. Right. So let's answer some questions. It's definitely been a weird week. Hayden says, have you hit your £100 a day yet, Luke? Keep believing.
Is he talking to me there? Because I did mention that I made like 600 quid in 1 month. I forgot what it was now. Some stupid scenario. Was it last year? I forget when it was. Because my expenses were like 20 grand or something, and my actual profit on like 80 grand sales was like 600 quid. I don't know if it's about that, but that's the only thing I can reference quickly without thinking too much.
I think you just keep believing you'll get there in the end. Don't worry, Luke. Sean says only sold £820 worth of sales and 77 items so far today. 65 items left to send to. Hoping that I can send in 100 plus items tomorrow. Absolutely. Keep feeding that beast. Cara says Seller Central interface has been changed, so it could be something to do with that. Absolutely. Yeah, good point, Cara, actually. It did change. I know it was very subtle, but it did change around that sort of time. But it really depends. If you listen to the private label crew, a lot of them are saying that this happened about 2 weeks ago, and I can't remember exactly when.
I swapped mine back anyway because I was like, no change for it now.
Huh?
As in, like, you mean the seller central interface where you can just, but you can just swap it back, change it back.
Well, mine's not changed.
Oh, it came up with a prompt, and it was like, "Do you want to view the new version or something?"
Oh,
and then
okay.
you click it, and it gives you like a.
Yeah, mine looks exactly the same. I've not seen it, but I'm one of those people, like when Facebook changed over and it kept giving you the option to change back. I will like change back until the last possible minute. I hate change, especially on my like interfaces and things like that. It really annoys me. Sean says if I'm selling 100 items a day, it means I know I can only send 100 items. Oh, right. Okay. Because of the restock limits. May as well train people up in their homes and teach them how to do boxes, especially while sales are slow. Yeah. Let me know in the comments, guys. Obviously, how are you finding the restock limits? Because at the moment, again, massive contrast to hearing what people are talking about. And we'll talk about the IPI storage limit increases in a moment as well. But the restock limits, when they came in, they were a little bit of a shock. But they do move a lot quicker than the IPI score. So I think, did you have something like about 3,000 or 4,000 to spare or something like that?
I've got like, I don't know what it is now, but it was like 25,000 was my limit, or 24,800 I think was something, was the maximum units I could send in. And I think I had like 18,000, 17,000 maybe. I don't know what it is now. I haven't looked. I just knew that was plenty.
It was okay. Well, we know that Amazon are going to be getting a lot tighter again on the unique bundle side of things. It doesn't really affect us too much, purely because we're very, what's the right word? Fastidious. I don't know if that's the right word, in our stock, in the sense that we know exactly how many items. Well, not exactly. So we know pretty much how many items are going to sell, and that's what we restock for that amount for the month, or for whatever. So for us, it's not really a huge biggie, because it's not like arbitrage products, which vary so much, and it might take a month, it might take a week, it might take a year to sell, kind of thing. So we can pretty much track that. Of course, it does watch with it does impact with new products, unfortunately, but hopefully as we go through Q4 or as we're running up to Q4, then hopefully that will start to move even.
That there's no like limitations now on the actual unit, an ASIN. I think that is going to be amazing for Q4. Like I did great in Q4, but I had like anything new could only send in 200 units, and I wanted to send in 2,000 units. Yeah, and it's like, so but now that I don't know what my actual total limit will be. Like, what I mean by like the total, but in theory, it just forces you to make it simpler. Like, okay, I'll just sell 20 items at 2,000. What would that be? Would that be right? Whatever it would be, just divide that 20, whatever it would be at the time, by a top 20 items, and just But that, to me, that was a massive issue for me last year, because how are you meant to sell volume's good anyway, and then it's Christmas. How are you meant to sell 200? How are you meant to sell 100 or 200 a day when you got, or even 50 a day, when you've got like a 200 limit on new items, and it takes you a week to get it in, and you've got to sell them for, and it was just, I don't know, But the only thing that I've noticed, which is interesting, I know it's kind of about the IPI, is that my IPI is like 485. But if I don't get that to 500, then I'm going to have, so what's going to happen? It's going to say that you are not allowed to, so all I've got to do is to send in like 30,000, basically. That's what I was thinking. If I have like 30,000 units in by July, whatever the date is, the 1st, what happens? As in, how does it define what the top, how does it define like what is your, that side of things anyway?
Well, this is what's happened in the past. So for anyone that doesn't know, I'll come back and look at the questions in a sec. So for anyone that doesn't know, I think it was announced today. Well, it was announced either today or yesterday. I can't remember. So during Q4, we had the IPI limits. So you had to score over 500 a month. Before Q4 last year, it was 450. You had to be over 450 a month. I think that was right, wasn't it? Yeah. Then at the start of Q1, they reduced the score back down to 450. And now they're saying that you have to hit between 500. Is it like between the 17th of May and the 21st of June?
Yeah, there were some weird dates in that.
Yeah, some really weird dates. Yeah, some random dates that you've got to be 500 within that period of time. Otherwise, you're going to be restricted for Q3. Yeah, so Q3. Now, of course, we know that they review it on a quarterly basis, so that's not at the out of it. But they've put it back up to 500 again, I think, because to compensate with that they've removed single units and replaced it with the new restock inventory limits. God, I'm talking about this. I was just thinking, if anyone's like 1 or 2 weeks into like selling on Amazon, they must think, what on earth are they going on about? But essentially, so what that means now is that could really have a knock-on effect for Q4, because if your storage limits are limited in Q3, then you're going to have to be hot on it during Q3, so you don't get limited in Q4. I know it crippled a lot of people this year, this Q4 just gone, with IPI storage limits. So they're going up to 500 again, and I'd imagine that they are going up 500 to stay now. They might put them down in Q1 next year, but it's pretty much the target figure has got to be 500. But what they did used to do beforehand is they give you grace period for a certain amount of time. So if you were above 450 but below 500, then they still kind of gave you unlimited. And I wonder if they'll do that again this year. So that'll be interesting to see. We're around 600 and well up in the 700s for private label, because, you know, again, for the reasons that I talked about earlier, it's easier to manage than arbitrage stock. So we don't have an issue from that point of view. But a lot of sellers will experience it now, in particular, you know, like yourself, Luke. It's something that you've really seriously got to think about your sell-through rate.
I know you
don't have a lot lying around either.
No, I know I'm going to butt in this, but it was high sell-through rate until they added the minimum order quantities, and a lot of stuff now doesn't sell like it did. But that, you know, but obviously but for years it's been selling great. So I have now 200 of stock of lots of stuff. Yeah, it's still selling and it's fine. Like, I'll deal with it. But I was restocking quite often. But now I'm like, I mean, whatever. I don't really care ultimately. But if they're changing something, which is then impacting, you know, what do they expect? Ultimately, what are they expecting me to do when I can't sell it at that? You know, they can see what they know. They know roughly what the prices are of things, because they sometimes suppress the buy box when they think it's too expensive. So they know what, you know, they know within reason. But it's like, okay, well, whatever. I mean, whatever. I'll deal with it at a time. But
yeah, and you know, I know a lot of you guys are experiencing a lot of suppressed buy boxes, especially on toys at the moment. That's something that I know is a big issue with everybody. So we're all fighting different issues at the moment, and that's why these kind of things that we do here are so important, so we can kind of talk through it. Sometimes there's not a solution, unfortunately. It's just a case of you just have to sell more, you just have to restock more, you have to manage your account, you have to look on, keep an eye on things more, essentially. But sometimes there's no magic answer for it. You've just got to adapt to the new changes that are coming through. But that is the other big news today, that you have to be above 500. I will clarify the dates, and I'll put it in a post tomorrow in the Secret Wealth Project Facebook group. But I believe the dates are the 17th of May to the 21st of June, in order for you to have unlimited storage in Q3. So
yeah, those dates are correct.
Pretty scary. Is that?
Yeah, 21st, May the 17th. Your IPI score, if your IPI score is below 500 during the week, that's weird. So now I'm even reading it again. It makes it even more confusing. But if your IPI score is below 500 during the week of May 17th and the week of June 21st.
Right, yeah.
Both those 2 weeks, you've got to have a 500 IPI.
Yes. So what they do is they give you one chance. So that the May 17th will be the one date. So this is how they did it before. I forgot. Yeah. So the May 17th, that 1 week, that's your first shot. And then they give you 6 or 5 weeks to correct it. Okay, so what it's going to say is if you are not at 500 in the week of the 17th of May, which is this week, so these emails will probably come out next week, so next Monday, because IPI scores are updated on Monday. So if you are not at 500 at the moment, so you'll get one of these, you'll get a warning email that says you are not at 500, you need to do what you can to improve it, and then you are reassessed on the week of the 21st of June. And then the following Monday after that, you will be told what your storage limits are for, or your IPI storage limits are for the following Q4. And that is what will happen in Q3 as well. So around 6 weeks into Q3, you get assessed on the first day, then you get another 4 or 5 weeks, then you will get assessed again, and then you will get your storage limits for Q4. I think because they didn't do it in Q1, it just like went out of my mind how they did it, but that's exactly how they assess you for your storage limits. It's always done for the next quarter. Now, something to be aware of, guys, is we know that it takes around 6 weeks or something like that to see a real change within your IPI score. Sometimes it happens quicker, sometimes it doesn't, but definitely it's quite long compared to the inventory restock limits, where you can see those change quite quickly, because obviously if you're constantly moving stock. But I was quite impressed. I remember those dates. I only looked at them once earlier, so got a good memory.
So in theory, this is the first thing I just quickly thought in my head. In theory, it might be, and this is as you grow as well, it could be a legitimate option. Yeah, you lose, in theory, you sell stuff for a loss. You lose about $5,000, but you bump your score up. You get it to 500, and then come Q4, you should basically you're taking a loss now to make a profit later. You're basically trading the money for the score, like whatever you break, to sell out either excess or sell through, because that's the two that were up there.
I mean,
and then you improve it that way.
What you'll probably find for someone like yourself, Luke, who's below the 500, with the amount of units that you've already got in place and your sell-through rate and everything like that as well, it's not like they're going to, even if you did get a restriction, it's not like they're going to take you down from unlimited to 30 cubics, square feet or whatever.
Well, the thing I was thinking is, will they suddenly go, your limit is now 6,000. You now owe, because in theory, isn't it? You get charged for having excess.
But again, you get time to sort it out. So what it is they give you a warning. So what could happen is you could, if technically you're under the 500, but your units the following quarter take you over your storage limits, then what happens is, I can't remember, I'll look it up for next week, but I'm going to do a post on this tomorrow anyway. I can't remember the exact amount of timing. It could be 28 days. That's what's sticking in my head. Then you get 28 days to go below it again. Otherwise, you get charged per cubic foot that you are over, and the fees are ridiculous, guys. So if you were like 100 cubic square feet over, then I seem to think it's like £6 per square foot. So if you're 100 over, they would charge you like 600 quid, just for being over. And then I've got a funny feeling that's worked out on like a daily charge as well. So the fees are ridiculous. So please keep an eye on this, guys, because what I suspect could happen is Q1 was a lot busier than people thought it was going to be. So therefore, I think a lot of people have restocked on the basis of what Q1 is, and obviously Q2 is a lot quieter. So I'm thinking that there probably could be a lot of people out there with a lot of excess stock at the moment that might not be reflected well in their IPI score. So you definitely need to take this into account when it comes to, keeping an eye on your sell-through rate. And do you know what? It kills me to say this. Not that I'm not, so I'm going to say you're right, Luke, and I don't mean it kills me to say that, because I think you're always right on lots of things. But it kills me to say it that in this particular scenario, especially if you've overstocked in Q2, then in reality, you might have to start selling stuff off for no profit. at all, which is never.
That happens anyway sometimes, like when you have expiry products. So it's not like it's an unusual thing. It just means that because I'm happy to take a 10 grand. Literally, I'd be like, be annoying. That was what it'd be if I had to lose 10 grand, gone. Like to the total. Because I actually did a quick calculation in my head. I was like, if I lost 50p per, I was just curious to see what would come out on every unit I have, and I make profit on loads, but I was just imagining like if everything suddenly had a minimum order quantity on, and everything I had to like lose 50p on, like 20,000 units, that's like 10 grand. And I was like, but then I could start again from fresh. I've got all that cash back. I'd be like, okay, yes. I mean, it's not great, but I mean, like 5 grand, I would probably do it now. Like, as in, not on everything, but like, if someone said, click a button, or I say half of it, just because I always find that sometimes you need a shake up. Like, I could only go off how things were. Yeah, I could have been cautious, but you could have said like last year, when do you start being cautious, or this year, when you never know when to start being cautious. You can probably guess it a little bit, but it was the minimum order quantity thing that screwed it. And so that wasn't even to do with the COVID. Like, that's actually what the issue is, which I couldn't have foreseen anyway. And so, but then I was like, what, I might clear out and lose 5 grand on stuff, but whatever, but that's the thing, that it's the same with expiry. I might lose 10 grand of expiry stock this year, but I'm not, that means if I don't do that, I wouldn't make 100, I don't know, this is an example. I wouldn't go and make 120 grand profit. So in theory, that could be like 135 grand if I didn't have any of that. But you have to have those losses to have the wins or have the gains, because without one, you don't have the other. Yeah. And that's just how I see it.
Absolutely. And, we talk about this a little bit, not a lot, but, especially sellers, volume sellers like Luke, when it comes to mixing up those margins, yes, you might lose 5 grand on the first lot, but you might have made might lose 5 grand on the first lot, but you might have made 7 on the first lot. So overall, you could be like,
of course, yeah. So what the way you could do it is you could take 2. You could go, okay, most of my stock, 90% of my stock I've been selling for the last 2 years. What's the 2 years accumulative profit? And that is that's actually what. Then you divide that by 2, and that's your yearly profit, because all those items are falling over 2 years. But I mean, because you can play around with numbers all day, couldn't you? But yeah, like a lot of those products that I'm selling now, I made tons of money in Q4 from. So if I lose 5 grand, that sounds like nothing compared to what I made in Q4. It's kind of like that. But again, it depends on how you're perceiving it. If you're perceiving it month by month, everything's fresh, and I just written off 5 grand. Then it's like the Q4 when you're like spending a lot on expenses, making no money in October, no money some money in November, but you make tons in December because but there's a lot you can play. It's like window dressing, isn't it? In accounting terms, you can do a lot of that, but yeah. Anyway, we can look at some of the questions.
Let's answer some questions, because we've been chatting away. Let me go back. Sean talking about it's cheaper to pay minimum wage to those who work from home. They prep loads per hour. Then they use prep center for 10k plus orders. So Sean does a lot of employing people instead of using prep centers. And, we always say mix things up, do things differently and see what works for you. Hayden says nothing to do with that, just a random joke, because you sell thousands a day. Right. Question. How can I get Amazon to let me send in more to FBA? I'm nearly maxed out. Any tips? I think it just comes down to sell-through rate. I think, someone else commented, actually. Let me go on my phone so I can see who's...
Or you've got until, what is it, whatever day to recall. You could recall. I mean, it's hard to know how much stuff.
Is it still free removals at the
moment?
Someone
just said it was, I think, but
I think it was. Again, that's the date. I can't remember. I meant to look that up before I come on. I think it is still free removals at the moment. So again, double check that, guys. Google.
Anyone want 80 peanut butter bunnies? By the way,
have you still not got rid of
them? No one wants 80. What are they? Reese's peanut butter bunnies. Like, no one wants them. Like, I got 80 of them. I don't know how. I have no idea what I paid for them, but
horrible.
What a waste of the environment of pounds.
Yeah, disgusting. So yeah, The only way is remove limits or sell through, increase your sell through. Hanson said, I got the new prompt today. I don't like the change, though. That's to do with the old interface, or sorry, the new interface coming. No, I haven't got the prompt at all. I haven't seen it. So be interesting.
I think there is, if you go to the top right of, if you go to settings, it says use new navigation.
Oh, right. Okay.
So you know where you can go to settings and all that stuff.
I'll wait for someone to change it over. Karen says restock limit went up. Now it's gone down below the first amount. Trying to ship little and often and see if that happens. Amazon absolutely loves consistency in everything. They love consistency in sending goods in. They love consistency with replenishments. They love consistency with selling. So yeah, absolutely. I would say that is a good a tactic as anything to try, because when it comes to consistency, that's what Amazon absolutely loves. It was Ben that said improve.
Oh, just on a side note, I'm actually coming back to the UK in a couple of weeks.
Oh,
yeah, because I didn't look into it 100%, but that was enough for me to come back. It was like, if you're in a country for more than 183 days, more than half a year, in theory, you're meant to be like paying your tax there.
Oh, really?
It's like with most places, because you're spending it's like you're not allowed to live in a country for more than half a year, because you're classified as living there basically more than any other country in the world, for the period. So to avoid all that, and I could have looked into it and further and looked at if it was 100%, but I was like, instead of mucking, yeah, exactly. Instead of mucking around, just book it up and I might be able to do like a 5-day. You can do an early test and release or something as well. So it's not like terrible. But anyway, yeah.
Hopefully they'll let you back in.
Well,
fingers crossed. Right. Ben says, as you improve your sell-through rate, restock limit increases. Absolutely. Sell-through rate is king on Amazon, because when it comes down to it, that's all they want you to do. They want you to sell because they want their fees. Tez says, what is the highest IPI score possible? Well, I think I've seen them up in the 800s, not me personally. PL1's got like 730, something like that. Our unique bundle ones like 586 or something like that. But I have seen someone posting up in the 800s. But I suppose up to 1,000. That's what I would think.
Yeah, I would think 1,000.
Yeah, I would think that. I've never seen anyone in the 900s, through posts or anything like that. Prove me wrong. Someone put a 900 in. Simon says dates are correct. Andy's got 571. Excellent. Matt Cromie, if I do MF, that would be the day if he does that. If I do MF, will this build up my IPI score? No, it won't. It's for FBA inventory only. Sean says Amazon, and it won't. I know that he knows that it's for FBA only, but I assume the reason he's if he builds that up, will it contribute to his IPI score? But it doesn't, unfortunately. They are completely separate metrics when it comes to assessing out that, unfortunately. Amazon wants me to, this is Sean, Amazon wants me to restock 200 plus items. Probably best to delete the ones I can't replenish no more and get my score back up. Absolutely. So this is great for...
You can submit a document, can't you? A file? I got my VA to do it like yesterday.
Yeah, you go into your inventory management, and then what you do is click, and I can't remember the exact wording. It's like, I'm not
reimbursed.
Yeah, something like that. I can't remember.
Not reimbursed, not replenishable or something.
Yeah, not replenishable. So go in and do that, and then you just need to do that on a regular basis because they'll keep reappearing. I wrote a post about it ages ago. So if you search Secret Wealth, if you're new and you haven't been around for a while and you want to know about IPI limits, then if you search in the Secret Wealth Project Facebook group, IPI inventory limits or something like that, then you should find a really detailed post from ages ago. I might copy and paste it and like redo it in a new post and something like that, just to update everyone on what to do in order to make sure. But over a year later, we know when it comes down to it, it's sell-through rate that has the biggest impact. But yes, if you are not intending to restock, that product, delete it and get it out of your inventory, and tell Amazon that you're not going to be restocking it, because that will have an impact as well.
Just quickly, I was because Caroline said you can get big. I've got a 5-year residence visa, whatever it's temporary residence visa. So it's not about staying in, because you can't stay in a European country for more than 90 days in every 180-day period. So you can only pay 3 months gap in the Shenzhen zone. It sounds like the Chinese name, but
it absolutely does. I think it was to do with do you know what? I was watching about this earlier. I think it was to do with something to do with it that was invented in like Luxembourg or something. I don't know. Anyway, that was just right. like a random thought anyway. Right, where are we? Cindy, thank you. Free removals until the 20th of May. I couldn't remember it. So if you've got any rubbish stock in at the moment, and you want to get it out and you don't want to pay for it to come out, then Amazon are doing free removals on your excess inventory. So please, please, please take advantage of that, because otherwise it costs per unit to remove. So if you know that now it makes sense as to why Amazon were doing the free removals up until now as well, because that will have a good impact on your IPI score if you are creating a removal stock, because one of the contributing metrics is excess inventory. So if you've got inventory that you know that you are not going to sell, then what you can do is you can remove it out for free, and then you can wait 60 days, and then is it 60 or 90 days? I think it's 60 days, and then you can relist it and send it back in if you want to, providing if it's not grocery and it hasn't got like shortened expiry dates or something like that. So definitely worth doing. Simon says donating to charity. I don't think you've had much.
Yeah, it was only because like to send those off. Yeah, I could donate all that to charity, but it's going to cost me even more money to send it.
Well, that's a very charitable thing to do, Luke.
I know, but I've already. It's like I don't want to. If it was if like they would pay for shipping, then fine, I'll do it. But like the whole thing is, I'm trying not to use even. They're at the prep center.
Oh, what prep center? Oh, well, yeah. Well, have a word.
It's in Bicester. Oh, yeah, that's the place.
If there's anyone local to Bicester that's willing to go and pick them up and drop them to the local food bank, won't they drop them a message?
He said yesterday or today, you've got a lot of these, and I was like, yeah, just hold them there for a second because I'm not sure. I always say to them, help yourself to what you want, but I mean, there's 80 of them, so I mean,
yeah, and no one wants them. Although Simona does say absolute favorite chocolate, but don't want 80 of them. I'll eat them within 24 hours. Oh, yeah.
I could in future just do. I will try. I said, anyone willing to pay for the shipping, you get it for free, but no one wants them.
I know.
I don't know how much I pay for it. I'll probably pay like £4-5 or something. I don't even know.
Luke's been trying to offload them to ESA for like 2 weeks, and he had like literally he had like crickets. Everyone was like, nope, thanks.
The only thing I thought though is because I come back to England, I was like, oh, right, if there's anything I want, Luke, this is your time to and pack my suitcase basically full of anything like I got these little Tassimo hot chocolate pods, like you put it like they're expiring soon, but
that's the only reason you're coming back.
I could just I'm getting like a new coffee thing similar because I haven't got one at the moment since we're and I was like, oh, I could take that home if I could put that in. But then I'm thinking I've got to have quite an empty suitcase,
Yeah, definitely. You literally are going to have to rewash the same clothes over and over again.
Can't wait to pack it full of Nano's hot sauce.
Yeah, there you go. You should have plenty of it. Tells you need to get the tracking rate down. Oh, what's going on? I missed a question. Notice if you do merchant fulfilled, the tracking percentage is tracked, but they are not doing anything about it at the moment if you are under target rate. Yeah, it is not a suspensionable offence to be under the VTR rate. However, they can restrict you from doing merchant fulfilled. So it is something that you definitely want to make sure that you are putting that rate in, you are staying on top of it, because they restrict that. And by the way, someone asked earlier, and I think I missed the question, that you can still do merchant fulfilled, if you get limited on your inventory storage in Christmas, in Q4. So if you are someone that does merchant fulfilled and you're not too worried about your IPI score, yes, you can still do merchant fulfilled. But remember, you do have to qualify to sell toys and games at some period of time up until, we'll give you the dates a bit nearer the time, but I think you have to have sold 25 units before like the end of September in order to qualify for the for selling toys and games during.
But also remember, if you're doing merchant fulfilled, you get it is right. And all the defect rate for merchant fulfilled separate. So
what's going on?
Oh, it's because I was using my computer as my light.
Oh, right. You're slowly disappearing into darkness.
and then obviously it's going out.
I know you said you had to go by 8 o'clock tonight.
It's 10. It was 10 here, but
yeah, 10 o'clock.
But no, I was just saying if you're going to do, that's just obviously not. It's probably everyone knows, but obviously the order defect rate is applicable separately on merchant fulfilled. It still is, isn't it?
Yes, correct.
Yeah. So if you're doing it, obviously make sure you're selling enough to make sure that you're not losing your whole account, which is obviously you could do FBA as well, and that could be perfect, but then that could cause issues as well.
Absolutely. There's always a lot to think about. There's always a knock-on effect. So absolutely, if you do, I think you have to sell 25 units before Q4, something like that. So you've obviously just got to bear in mind that if your order defect rate gets affected or anything like that, like you had said, and if you're not normally a merchant fulfilled seller, then that can be affected if you miss, any dates or anything like that. I'm hearing feedback again, and I know that's not me because I've shut it down. Oh, it's gone now. Okay, so Sean says Q4 is going to be amazing as long as Amazon lets me send in 30,000 products. Absolutely, but there's a lot more options this year as well, and I think it's going to be absolutely fine. And we've got, it's May, and we're talking about Q4, so we've got time to sort it out, guys. And for anyone that kind of thinks, oh, I'll sort it out a bit nearer the time, like I said, IPI is a bit of a slow-moving kind of compounding effect, so you just need to make sure that you're on top of it now, because if you get close to that second assessment date in Q3, then you haven't got a lot of chance of sorting it out for Q4. So now's the time to really try and concentrate on those IPIs, because I don't think they'll go back down to 450 again this year. I think it'll stay at 500. Cindy says my IPI is 509, few mainly due to being stranded whilst deactivated. Absolutely, which is so unfair. They deactivate you, and then obviously your sell-through rate goes down. Sell-through rate and storage limit at 13,500. Absolutely, don't get jealous. Definitely. Slava says first time I've catch you live. Welcome. Unfortunately, we haven't got too much time left because, guys, Luke has got to go at 8 o'clock because he told me beforehand he's got to watch the Eurovision qualifiers.
The last time I watched it was probably when I was like 16, but here obviously people have like little. I mean, I don't know how big is big, but I know that it's no one watches it. Okay, my mum and Nan do watch it in the UK.
I watch Eurovision. I love it.
But it seems like people are having a little bit more of gathering get-togethers, and it's a bit of a thing. Like, because also it's like a little, even though it's a country, it's like a community in a way. It's like it's weird. It's like it is because the population is like 1 point. I think I said 2 million.
2 million. Yeah.
But there's not a massive amount, and also there isn't. They all kind of like rally against the cause or whatever they say.
Yeah, absolutely. And I said, you know what? If I was living in Lithuania, I'd probably get behind it because the Lithuanians have got a much better chance than winning than we have. So it's fine.
Yeah, I don't know how they've done in the past. But yeah. I'll get to see this time.
Yeah, absolutely. You get a front row seat. Slava says, I've got IPI of 450. Do they limit my storage? At the moment, yes, your storage would be limited for Q3. So you're probably going to get an email on Monday saying that you need to up that because they've just raised the storage limits qualification score to 500. So you get it now. You get 5 or 6 weeks to sort it out before it's going to be affected for the next one. But again, I don't want to scare people like I was talking about with Luke. Like, Luke, you're under 500 at the moment. Now, say, for instance, you don't make it out through 500 through the next one. And say, for instance, you've got 5,000 cubic feet. They're not going to take you down from 5,000 cubic square feet to 100 cubic square feet. it will be, you'll still probably have a good amount and more than enough that you'll need in order to kind of sort it out during the next period for Q4. The real issue is the people, when it happened last year, when pretty much everyone qualified the year before for unlimited storage for Q4, but then they whacked it on at the last minute last year. And literally people that weren't doing much went from unlimited to having like 100 cubic square feet, which actually, in terms of geometrical mathematics, is actually, it's a lot bigger than it sounds, because it's not 100 square feet on the floor.
Yeah,
it's up. Yeah, so it's actually, it's not as bad as it sounds. So even if you are limited, Slava, don't worry about it too much. You'll just have to kind of work, and there is time to get it sorted for Q4. So, rest assured, it's something that you've just got to keep an eye on and keep working towards building up that sell-through rate. But like we said, if you've got any excess inventory, which is a contributing metric to that overall score, free removals until the 20th of May. So, which is that tomorrow or Thursday?
Day after.
Yeah, Thursday. So there we go. So if you have got any excess limits, then make sure that you pull those out, and you can get them on free removals, and then you can put them back in. Slava says, I already use 11,540. That's your inventory restock limit, not your IPI score. Your IPI score, it will be different. So your IPI score gives you unlimited storage. Your restock limits give you how many units you can send in. So this will be different. So this will affect your storage. At the moment, it probably will be unlimited. It means that they will restrict you by reducing down from, you can send in as many products and take up as much space as possible to a limited amount of cubic square feet space. But yeah, removals and sell-through rate are going to be the biggest things that impact on that score for sure. Q3 will be slow unless we get a lockdown. We're not hoping for a lockdown, Sean, but we've talked about it a lot. Who knows what's going to happen, especially during Q3 as we're going into the winter as well.
It could be like a seasonal lockdown forever, like summer, because normally things don't. Obviously, in the winter, everything's a lot worse because illnesses.
Absolutely. Flus and more pressure. Yeah, more pressure on the NHS. Now that we're coming out of it with the vaccines and everything like that, we don't know what a normal Q4 is going to be like. So we're just gonna, we're gonna have to wait and see what it's going to be like this year. But I was going to talk a little bit about seasonal products tonight, but guys, don't forget it. I was watching the news this morning. I haven't watched the news in ages, and the weather came on, and the weather forecaster said, don't worry, summer's coming and it's starting the first week of June. So, I know loads of you have been buying pools and seasonal products and things like that. So hopefully, fingers crossed, your time is coming. The sun's going to shine. It's been the worst weather here, Luke. Honestly, it's been horrendous.
It's actually been decent. So I've noticed that Lithuania it's a bit hotter in the summer, and it's like -20. It wasn't often, but it happened. -20 in the winter, but -5 normally every day for weeks and weeks. But then because obviously I haven't been here this time, and it's the best day was like 24 degrees, 18, 20, with some rain within the day. So
18 sounds lovely at the moment.
But I went for a nice run in the evening yesterday. The sun was out, and now it's like, it's now is 11. But it's like you can still see it's like a bit of a nice evening. So it's kind of similar, but I think it's just a bit better.
Well, we have a storm to look forward to on Friday. So
we have had thunderstorms as well. So it's basically
like a proper windstorm, like Gale's storm. It's crazy. The fact was, because it's Matt's birthday on Friday, and we were going to have a barbecue on Friday. Oh, I hope he's not watching.
Is he the same age as you? Is he in his 40s?
No, he's older than me.
Wow.
Yeah, he's like, oh my God, this is embarrassing. He's like 43, 42, something like that.
I got my girlfriend's age wrong the other day. I was like,
27. As in, I knew it if I worked it out. But
that's an okay age to get wrong, not 50. You're all right getting wrong that age for sure. Matt says, "Oh no, that means he's still watching." So he says, "What would we do if the BBC didn't fund the whole thing?" Talking about Eurovision. That's what
you said. Yeah, you did say that.
Yeah, that's the only reason we stay in Eurovision for sure. It's because the BBC.
But why would they fund it if it didn't?
Because it's Eurovision is one of the biggest TV audiences.
Yeah, it's like 200 million people. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's that and the Super Bowl are the two biggest events that are watched worldwide in the country. So the resale rights would be huge.
Oh, but it's like the X Factor where like the UK license it and it's their like brand.
Yeah,
it's like BBC's brand. Is that what you're trying to say? And I
don't know if it's their brand, but I know that they are the ones that run it and heavily pay for it and fund it and everything like that. So I would imagine, they sell the rights to do so because, as I said, globally, it's one of the biggest TV events of the year.
Maybe it's similar to that.
Maybe a premium. Yeah, absolutely. But I'm going to watch it this year for sure. I'm going to watch it. But yes, we're supposed to have a barbecue on Friday, but we can't anymore because there's this storm coming apparently. So we shall, just have to party in private with 6 people, and that's it. Eurovision.
Yes, Sean, we understand how it works.
Yeah, we're never going to win. We're never going to win that. Although we did do all right a couple of years ago. Anyway, we can tell Luke is absolutely desperate to go off and watch Eurovision, so we shall let him go. I think we've run out of things to talk about. We started talking about Eurovision way too much. I did have more to talk about, but as ever, time goes so quick when we are doing this. So guys, don't worry about all these things that are happening at the moment. As Luke said at the very, very start, you kind of have to roll with the punches, and this is the time to be able to make those kind of tweaks in your business, make those testings within your business to see what's going to work for you when we're coming back into the busier times. But the sun is coming as well. So hopefully we can start to sell some of those seasonal summer products as well, which will be really good. Thank you for joining, as ever. Next week, I shall be back with a seller story. That's what we should call them, seller stories. And we will just be talking about their journey and their Amazon on their journey selling on Amazon. And but same time, same place next week, 7:00. And we'll keep you updated on Eurovision. We'll let you know who wins.
And I was going to say, if anyone wants to check out my brand new website, it's mrfbauk.co.uk, and it will be having many new updates for the weeks to come.
Absolutely. Shameless plug. If you want to put it in the comments, Luke, as well, pop it in the comments.
I don't know how to do that.
But it looks really slick, actually. I
actually looked at it.
I did.
Yeah. I like it. It needs to it's not depth, it's not extensively in depth at the moment, but it's because it wasn't there for months, so I wanted to actually get something up that was to be expanded on over time. But I'll post it in the comments, and then anyone wants to have a look, it will look. I'll click on the stats. Oh, look, like 300 people, 200 from the Philippines. I'm like, okay, that's my VA.
There we go. But put it in the comments, guys. If anyone's watching, give Luke a hit up on his website and let him know the feedback on what you think. But I thought it looked lovely for sure. Right. Okay, guys. Thanks very much. There we go. Mr. FBA UK. Sorry. Mr. FBA. I don't know if you can click on it. Oh, that was right. Mr. FBA UK.co.uk.
It sounds a bit crap having 2 UKs in it, but I'll deal with it later. It's done now. I can't change it.
Yeah, it's a bit confusing when I said it outright. Right. Okay. Night, everyone. Stay safe and have a good night. Take care. Bye.